$19,000 per month. That's how much extra profit Patrick added to his business in just 45 days. And that was enough to help him buy his dream beach house in Newport Beach, California. But here's what makes this interesting. Patrick wasn't struggling. His business was doing $75,000 a month. He was working about 60 hours a week, but he was paying himself well. He was doing about $200,000 a year. But here's the problem. After all of the expenses, his bottom line profit was only about $4,000 a month. And he only had about $2,000 in the bank. There weren't extra reserves or any kind of emergency fund in the business, which meant he was stuck. He didn't have money to invest into growth. He wasn't able to make key hires so that he could get himself out of the business. So he was stuck. And in this video, I'm gonna show you the exact 3-step process that we used to help Patrick go from $4K a month to $23K a month in profit without spending a dime on ads or generating any new leads. And I gotta tell you, the third one is the one that business owners neglect the most. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Tanner James. I coach entrepreneurs and help them make money hand over fist. And what I see with so many business owners is they think that the answer to more profit is more customers. And this couldn't be further from the truth. They think you need more leads, more sales, more growth. And that's actually the opposite. Most of the time when you're focusing on that, you're being counterproductive. But that's actually the worst thing to do if you're cash strapped. And that's because growth requires cash. So if you don't have cash in the bank, you can't invest into new opportunities. You're stuck. So instead, we focused on 3 levers inside of Patrick's business. They were already there. They just needed to be pulled. We're gonna break them down one by one in this video. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Patrick's business. The business is an online privacy business. They remove your private information from the internet. It's a cool business and it helps a lot of people. Now, with the business, there are 2 parts of the business. There is an initial removal where they remove the information, and then there's ongoing monitoring every single month. So first, let's talk about pricing. Patrick has 2,800 customers and they're all paying $20 a month. And like most business owners, Patrick has not touched his pricing in years. No kidding, it's been $20 a month since he started in 2019. Naturally, he was worried that if he raised prices, customers would leave, revenue would dip, and it would backfire. But the reality is, if you're underpriced, you're training the market to undervalue what you do. Since I'm a huge believer in being the most expensive product in the market, we raised his prices by $5 per person. Now, did some people leave? Yes. We did see an uptick in churn. Now, are you ready for this? It was all of 3/4 of 1% of his customer base. 0.75% of his customers left after this price change. So when you think about that, in total, only about 21 people left. We often think as business owners that if we raise prices, everybody's gonna leave, and it's just not the reality. And as a consumer, we're used to price raises. But there is a strategic way of increasing prices so that your customers don't leave. In this example, less than 1% left, which means it was a bang up price raise. So in total, we raised prices by $5 per person, we lost 1%, and that means the new added profit was $13,685 per month. Now here's what's cool about a price raise. When you raise your prices, your expenses do not increase at the same rate. So when you think about that, that extra $5 that we added on for every single person was pure profit. That is why raising your prices is so powerful. So a $5 price increase that took us a few hours to implement just made the business over $13,000 every single month. And the best part is that new customers coming in, signing up for the service, there was no impact on conversion for them. The same percentage of customers bought at the new higher price than they did before. There was no drop in conversions. This is what I mean when I say business owners are sitting on profit they don't even know exists. Before you give me the objection that you say, my market is different and I can't raise prices, I call bullshit. When you say this, I really hear, my marketing isn't good enough to influence customers to pay a higher price. And that is a solvable problem. In another video, I'm gonna break down the one small tweak that you can make to your marketing that'll make all of your advertising 3 times as efficient. But in this example, Patrick was already the most expensive option in the market. Remember, his service has an upfront fee, which is about $200, and then the monitoring. So new customers pay about $475 in the first year, when his closest competitor charges $129 per year. Now, how can Patrick charge so much more? First is that he provides a better product. The second his marketing is dramatically better than theirs. So if internally you're thinking, well, my customers wouldn't pay more, I'd encourage you to flip your thinking and say, how could I influence my customers to pay more? And in a future video, I'll break down how to raise your prices while actually getting more customers than you lose. Now, the second part of this process is that we fixed his advertising. Patrick was spending about $5,000 a month on Google Ads. When we looked at the last 30 days in his account, he spent about $5,000. Google was reporting that he got 1,000 conversions, but the reality was that he only had about 100 signups in total, not attributed to Google, just in total. So what that means was that the conversion tracking was completely broken. So we dug in and we saw that there were 4 campaigns running, yet only one of them was driving the results. The other 3 campaigns were literally burning money, and we could see that they were just not working. So when we turned those off, we were saving $143 a day, which was previously getting lit on fire. This increased his profit by another $4,290 per month. And I will tell you, this is the problem with running blind. If you do not have good attribution tracking in your business, you don't really know which ads are performing, which ones aren't, where you're wasting money, and where you actually have the most opportunity in the business. They'll track all of your ads, show you which ones are working, which ones aren't, and for a couple $100 a month, it's worth every penny because you won't be wasting $143 a day in ads that you thought were working. Now on to part 3. We ran a mini promotion to his email list. Patrick had about 14,000 people on his email list, but only about 2,000 of them are truly active. This means they've opened emails, they hit the website recently. The rest of them, we will work to re-engage over a longer period of time. What we wanted to do here was just ring the cash register and get some new customers for him. Now keep in mind, most business owners write off email. They say email's dead. They say nobody checks their emails anymore. But the reality is that's not true. Email is still, to date, the most profitable way to grow your business because these are people who previously expressed interest in your business. They raised their hand, they opted in, but they didn't buy. You already paid to generate their info. They're on your list. All you want to do is shake the tree and generate revenue from it. So what we did was we ran a simple promotion. We wrote 4 emails, sent them over 7 days, and we gave them a special offer. We said get 2 months of monitoring for free. Now it costs Patrick about $10 to fulfill on that, but to the customer, that's a $50 perceived value. That is enough to push somebody over the edge and get them to buy. After the 7-day promotion, 13 additional people signed up, and with upsells and additional offerings, the average order value was $242. So that's over $3,000 in new revenue that was just sitting there. Since then, we've ran another promotion and generated another 34 people that are just sitting on the email list. So this is why shaking the tree is so important. They've already expressed interest, they're sitting and waiting on an email list. Shake the tree and make some money. The profit on this promotion was $1,575, and there was no cost to this. See, most business owners are so focused on new that they neglect what they have. This is low-hanging fruit, and it added thousands in profit in just 1 week. All right, so those are the 3 levers: pricing, advertising, and promotion. Now, if you want the full breakdown, the exact emails that we sent for the price increase, the ad audit checklist, and other strategies to make your business more profitable, I put together a complete document and you can go grab it down below. Now, let me show you what happened when we put all of these together. Now let's recap. Patrick went from $4K a month in profit to over $23,000 in just 45 days. To summarize everything, that was from $13,685 by optimizing his prices, $4,290 from optimizing his advertising, and $1,575 from customers who were just sitting on the email list. None of that was done by running new ads. We didn't launch some massive new funnel. All we did was optimize 3 things that were already in his business. And now Patrick is working less than 40 hours a week from his new beach house in Newport Beach. He's not stressed about cash anymore. He's not wondering about where the next stage of growth is going to be. His new problem is finding a good tax strategist to help him with the new cash flow coming from the business. That is the kind of problem you want to have. The crazy part about all of this is that you could be sitting on 5, 10, 15, 20K a month in new profit that's just sitting there. And once you unlock that, you can move into the growth phase. That's what we're doing with Patrick. Next, we're gonna optimize his funnel and his website. We're gonna be building a sales team, we're gonna be scaling his profitable ads, and helping him make key hires so he's not tied down in the business anymore. If you wanna learn more about what we're doing in Patrick's business, subscribe so that you can follow along about how we're gonna 5x his business in the next 3 years. YouTube thinks you might like this next video that's on the screen. Let's find out if they're right.